move it along because the children out here are repping, and they have to. The kids understand that they are going to have to take up for themselves because clearly the adults in charge. Are we in charge? Are we the adults in charge? I feel like it was all the brown nosing ass dickheads in school, who brown nosed very well but knew very little, and had perhaps had a smidge of book smarts but lacked very very much in common sense. I feel like that's who's in charge. Ugh. Somebody need to go bully them. They need to be rebullied. Gen X, we need to go find who you used to bully, and resume that because they are out here doing a terrible job. So, I want us to take a look at what happened recently. This was actually just 2 or 3 days ago in Chicago's Pilsen neighborhood. This was a fatal shooting at Benito Juarez High School, okay, where I believe a total of four students were shot. Tragically, two of them died, two remain hospitalized even right now. And there's a clip here that I want us to take a look at from WGN News. I think it does a good job of just basically surmising the facts. And part of the reason again why I like to use these local news clips, not because they are exceptional or anything like that, but I like pictures. To be perfectly honest, I mean, I think presenting pictures and good photography, good camera work, is integral to effective storytelling within a visual medium, right? So that's how I clearly Will and I are not in Chicago. So as much as I'd like to be, but not right now. Jesus, not with the blizzard. But so this is part of the reason why I use some of these local news clips just to bring you some pictures and some photos to kind of give some texture to where I'm talking about because America is very different from place to place. But anyway, what's not different about America is the amount of gun violence, period, point blank in this country. But then the amount of gun violence that young people are exposed to, specifically school age children. And it's so normal. The madness in this country is so normalized, it's so accepted, it's so easily, consumed and then moved on to the next thing. We have a real problem here, and we're not addressing it. And we blame the guns, and the guns are an easy scapegoat, but it's it's what's in America's heart, soul, and in our minds is what's driving people to pick up the guns. And our kids are just following what they have seen modeled for them throughout this very sick society. So I want us to get caught up. So let's listen to the piece from WGN just to give a brief overview of what happened.
Police are still working to determine what led to the shooting. Now, two surviving victims are still being treated here at Stroger Hospital, while two other families are forced to make funeral arrangements. Tonight, the grandmother, one of the teens killed, is remembering her adoring grandson. Family members have identified 14-year-old Nathan Villegas as one of the teens killed outside Benito Juarez Community Academy in Pilsen Friday afternoon. Nathan's grandmother explains he didn't deserve this. She says they're struggling to understand how this outgoing and cheerful young boy met such a tragic end more than 24 hours ago. We weren't prepared for this, she explains. We're always going to remember him as a good kid, very noble and loving. CPD says Nathan and 15-year-old Brandon Perez were both shot in the head and didn't make it. Police say another 15-year-old boy was shot in the thigh and shoulder. A 15-year-old girl was also grazed in the thigh. They're both recovering at Stroger Hospital. Police released these surveillance photos of a person of interest believed to be involved in the deadly shooting. According to a Noble School spokesperson, two of the teens impacted are their students. A parent who was volunteering as a crossing guard remembers seeing two teens on the ground covered in blood and the sound of gunshots.
I didn't expect that something like that happens in the school because, like I said, kids are going to school to get educated, to get tools for their future, not to fight.
Nicasio Rogel says his son was overwhelmed by the events that took place at his school, but has remained brave.
He's okay, that he's not worried. And well, I have to be worried a little bit.
Rogel also says the shooting added to the emotional pain of the gun violence that already takes place in Black and brown communities. He believes CPS should consider extra measures to reassure students feel safe to return to class on Monday.
Police officers in the morning when they are getting to school, and police officers when the kids are coming out.
And Mayor Lori Lightfoot released a following statement regarding the tragic shooting. She says, in part, I am beyond outraged by this incident, which highlights the pressing need for illegal guns to be taken off our streets and out of the hands of those seeking to cause them. Now, at last check, CPD has not arrested anyone, but police are asking anyone with information to give them a call. We're live outside Stroger Hospital. Andrea Medina, WGN News.
A tragic situation there at Benito Juarez High School in Chicago. But when I heard the story, I said, I've heard this exact same story here in the DC area, heard it in the Baltimore area. I'm sure if you live wherever you live in the United States, you've likely heard the story of teenagers being murdered, not just simply shot, killed, like taken all the way down. And these kids, these two students at this high school, this happened immediately after school let out. And while I can sympathize with the parent who spoke, when he said that his son is okay, no, his son is not okay. None of these kids are okay. All of our children are suffering largely from some variation of untreated post traumatic stress disorder, as I'm guessing probably most of Americans are suffering from post traumatic stress disorder. The way that we are expected to stomach flat out horrific events and then carry on as though everything is okay and normal, as though children being murdered at school is a normal thing, and the kids, I'm assuming the kids went to school the next day. That was something similar here in Prince George's County. There was a shooting at Suitland High School. Thankfully, nobody was killed, but the child, a teenager, shot another teen in the leg. And the parents that I saw interviewed on the local news were like, shouldn't they have at least closed school for the next day? Like the parents felt it was unfair that the children were expected to return back to school the day after a shooting. But welcome to capitalism in America. You have no time to grieve, process, emote, do anything. Your presence is expected, whether or not you are an unpaid public school student or somebody that has a job and a boss, right? Like, America doesn't give you time to do anything, to heal, to deal, to process through. We live in a very, very, very sick place, and it is very bad for us. But the children, again, I can't tell you how much I fuck with Gen Z. Man, I should have had one of these little youngins, because when I see the kids, I'm like, I see the generation that understands, like, nope, nope, this shit right here is fucked up. And guess what? We as the youths, I am not the youths, but speaking on behalf of the youths see it is fucked up, and the youths want a different direction forward. So this was today? I think it was today. Children at Benito Juarez High School walked out of school. There was a protest and a vigil in memorial of their classmates who were murdered. But the kids are tired of this. They want to see something different. And like kids, I've been hearing kids say this, when listening to children speak on social media, and the things that they say that they want in their schools to change. None of them say they want more police. None of the kids say, hey, you know what we need here? More school resource officers, right? But that is the ways in which this sickness is being addressed and handled by our elected leaders. They are criminalizing, and not to say that people who shoot other people should not be criminalized. I'm not saying that, but we have to dig deeper and further assess at its heart, at its very root. Why is it that people want to resolve their differences in this way, right? And they seem to do it overwhelmingly in this way in this country. Okay, like, people do not. I mean, yeah, some other countries bang like this. but not a lot. Not a lot. I think America is amongst the top bangingest countries. And that is a technical term. Yes, I looked that up. The United Nations coined that term. The most bangingest countries, where they bang the most, where they shoot the most, where they murder the most via gunfire. America right up there, shorty. If not top number one, if not coming for that number one spot. And the kids say this is a madness. Like, this is not the way in which we want to come up, and this shit needs to change. So I want us to take a look at this collection of videos, this collage of videos here. The first one is from Julian Cruz from WGN News, showing the students as they walked out. And then the subsequent videos are from a youth-led organization in Chicago called Good Kids Mad City. You should follow them on Twitter if you haven't already. These kids are really radical. They are so astute and very on top of articulating the way not only that they feel, but the ways in which society is failing them. The school system is failing them. The city of Chicago is failing them. And they're ready to do something about it. So this was one of their actions held yesterday as students walked out of Benito Juarez High School in Pilsen. Let's take a look at that.
Juarez, we had 4 students outside that were shot. 2 of those students were killed. That's less than 24 hours ago.
Yeah.
We were all outside. And so our environment is hurting. Our young people are hurting. We are hurting as communities. The young people in our city are more than just data sets to test and performance scores. Public schools are more than just places where materials and labor and numbers are extracted. We need leadership to transform our schools to loving, liberatory, green, and sustainable community schools. Our schools play a crucial role in addressing climate change and showing how interconnected our work is. Like, our work brings all of us together.
Safer neighborhoods and incentivize peace. We want youth to be peacekeepers in their schools and communities. Now, while it was exciting to have the honor to speak at the United Nations, I shouldn't have to travel outside of Chicago to get resources for violence prevention. Just yesterday, 4 students attending Benito Juarez High School were shot at, and 2 sadly passed away. They were just around my age. A young girl, a student like me, got shot. It's terrible to think that could have been me at the same position. This type of stuff is what encourages me to keep working with my community to help you. Young Chicago teens are being affected more and more every day by violence. Say that ain't right.
That ain't right!
Over 200 youth and children have been shot this year. Say that ain't right.
That ain't right!
We deserve safety, and we demand that our city stops investing in cops and jails that don't keep us safe. When I say pass the peace book, y'all say now. Pass the peace book.
Now!
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 Thank you.
Scenes there from outside of Benito Juarez High School in Chicago. The first person that spoke was a member of the Chicago Teachers Union, and the second person there was a student activist. And you heard him again. I hear this from the kids all the time. I mean, on social media, of course, when I'm watching them. But the radical youths say often, like, stop putting more police in our schools. The police do not keep us safe. We need counselors. We need mental health resources. We need more teachers, right? We need better facilities. Like, all of the things that the children know that they are lacking, they also very clearly see that those funds are going directly to the Chicago Police Department, and they're going to all these respective police departments, and yet the kids still end up getting injured and, even worse, killed while on school grounds. I mean, and even in their neighborhoods. I mean, this is all a madness, and it needs to end. How can it end? Well, we have to defund the police. We have to defund and eventually abolish the police. I wish that things could happen back to back, right? But it's still going to take more convincing. We still have to convince our people. You can call it political education, you can call it whatever you want. But at the end of the day, you got to make a pitch to those in the community until that light switch gets turned on, until they understand and they are seeing the picture for its entirety, right? Like we keep not us, not us, of course, but we as a community, Black community, and even I guess the Latino community to some extent, if that parent in the WGN package is any indication, like we keep asking for more police, and guess what? We keep getting them. We keep getting them, and what are we not getting? We're not getting the safety that we believe or we are programmed in or conditioned to think that police bring. They really do not make communities safer. They just are occupying communities. In fact, in more heavily police occupied places, the crime is worse. the crime, whatever the fuck you want to call crime, property crime, person on person crime, the crime is worse. Where you're going to find more police, you're going to find worse crime. Now, I didn't do well at math. I'm not a mathematician per se, but god damn, I can count. Okay, I can count out this bitch, and I can count that the more police you have, the less safe communities are. And that equation, that math, do not be mathing at all, at all. The convincing needs to begin, and I'm telling you, here we are at the holiday season. I'm telling you, I said this shit on Status Quo. I was trying to, shame the white folks into into confronting their racist relatives at the holiday dinner table. But I'm convincing all of us now. Well, I will stay on that mission to convince white folks to confront their racist family members. But when it comes to us, when it comes to Black and brown folks, the convincing and the confrontation that we need to be having at our holiday tables has to be surrounding the cops and the role of the police and the way that the police are deployed where we live and on our folks, right? Will tell you if Will decided to so crack the mic. You don't have to, Will. I just reference you because I know you there. But Will was in Baltimore. And I asked Will when I talk, I said, Will, what's going on in Baltimore? Man. his response is, man. Right. Because Baltimore is wild right now. Like, as for a relatively small city, Baltimore is not a densely populated place. Baltimore, when did Baltimore pass that 300 murders, Will? What was that a week ago, 2 weeks ago? I mean, it's wild. It is wild. And guess what? The police are the best funded thing in the city. Better funded than Baltimore City Public Schools, better funded than the Baltimore City Public Libraries, better funded than Parks and Recs, better funded than the Baltimore Public Health Department. The Baltimore City Police Department is the best funded public agency in the city, and the city is fucking wild right now. Wild. What are city residents getting in exchange for their investment into all this policing? All they're getting is more surveillance. All they're getting is more harassment, and still the safety continues to erode. So again, it is incumbent upon us, however you fall on the political scale. I know we all fall to the left. Oh, we terrorists, we communist, socialists, whatever you want to call yourself, man. Call yourself yanking up your Law and Order uncle over the dinner table this holiday season when y'all celebrating Kuji Chagalia. Talk to him about getting some self-determination with the police subtracted out of our communities, y'all. It's not worth it. We're not getting what we're putting into it, and the cost to us specifically as Black and brown folks, and especially to our youth, it's too high. It's too expensive. It's too expensive. And we need to listen to the children and follow the lead of the children, because the kids are telling us straight up, like, officer friendly is not so friendly. Officer friendly makes me feel intimidated. Officer friendly harasses me because of the neighborhood in which I live, because of the friends that I have, because who my cousin is. You understand? Like, these cops don't do shit out here but bother our fucking kids. They don't solve crimes. And I wonder, circle it back for a moment to my first topic, to Harvey Weinstein. How in the hell did they accidentally? How the fuck did they accidentally catch him? I'm just trying to figure out. Anytime I see powerful people go down, I'm like, who did they piss off? Like, who did they specifically piss off that all of their many decades and years and innumerable instances of egregious behavior, all that shit got overlooked for so long? What changed? Who did they piss off in 2016? Like, who did they piss off? But anyway, getting back on topic. It's time. It's past time, everybody. I get so frustrated when I'm watching the news. And again, this is and I know you said y'all might be like, Kim, you watch a lot of the news, and I do. And I do. But I know that these attitudes are very prevalent in our communities. They may not be prevalent in our specific immediate circles, but in your church, in your mother's church, at your kids' school, these people want law and order. They want police, and we have to dissuade them of that. Like, we have to do that. Like, that is our task. Like I said, you want to call it, you can call it whatever you want to call it. You can call it political education. You could call it, just rapping to your people. You know what I'm saying? You can call it whatever you want. But that conversation has to be had, and we need to see some different actions going forward, specifically in these city budgets, especially places that have large Black and brown populations. Lots of Black and brown people live in these places. Like, we need to be, seriously putting the press on your city council people, on your mayors, and be like, listen, you see these statistics? You see all this? Let's check them clearance rates on some of those homicide cases. Let's check them clearance rates on those sexual assault, rape, and child molestation cases. Like, how we doing on that? Houston Police Department? What's that looking like? Philadelphia Police Department? NYPD? I'm getting tired. I'm getting quite frustrated with the entire situation. So anyway, that is our job this holiday season. As Black and brown people and as radical whites, it's time to start bringing more people to our side to defund the police, to abolish the police. And quite truthfully, there's plenty of clips here available on this channel. There's a very easy case to be made. So I think it's past time that we start making that case.